First, a great honor to be across from Coach Saban and the tremendous job he's done.
And welcome in. This is going to be our Facebook Live chat here for the next, we're going to do this for about 20 minutes. And we are on, coming from the boathouse, just a little bit up from Indianapolis. We're going to have a show for 2 hours coming up at the top of the hour. But we wanted to join everybody live on Facebook now, just to have, if you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to talk about when it comes to the national championship game. We'll dive into a lot of the X's and O's coming up on our championship preview show coming up at the top of the hour. But this was one that we just wanted to go over. And if you have any kind of questions in regards to the national championship game, you can give us your thoughts, your predictions, anything that you want to talk about now for the next hour or the next 20 minutes. That's a good time to do so.
Yeah, it's good to be here at the Boathouse. I know Chris Woolsey does a lot of listening on Facebook and commenting, and you guys took in the Pacers getting a big win over the Jazz last night in the NBA, and he asked where I was, and as I told him, I was arriving in the wee hours, and that's literally what I did.
Yes, you did. Yes,
but we are here, and we are glad to be here. It's a great view here, by the way. Beautiful on the water. It is not as chilly as it's going to get later today, but certainly the weather clearing off, which is good. And again, national championship game rematch from 4 years ago. Alabama, Georgia, getting ready to rock. And
Brian Robinson's the only. It feels like he's one of the very few holdovers.
Probably so. I mean, NCO. I mean, Chris Owens. Chris Owens is on the team too. I mean, they're the two super seniors that Alabama returned, and so they both. I mean, Owens wasn't playing a lot at that time. You know, B-Rob was really a fullback. He started out as a fullback in his career, but he's always been a good blocker and always been a guy who played under Sam Adams at Hillcrest Tuscaloosa High School, who, you know, I had Coach Adams on the show, and as Coach said, you know, certainly B-Rob had games where he had 300 and 400 yards rushing, but he also had games where they moved him around as a receiver, you know, and they wanted him to be able to run, catch, and block and do it all. And I think he's always been able to do that. I just think early in his career until this season, B-Rob had some, you know, and I really think he started to settle down the second half of last year. But he had, I thought, and people don't talk about this enough, performance anxiety. And what I mean by that is you want to play so well and prove yourself because you got like a first-round pick like Najee Harris in front of you, that you sometimes you fumble the football, you drop a pass, you do things that you don't see, that you don't see happen. Like for an example, I've been to practices, I've been to scrimmages, and he would look as good as Najee Harris. There was no drop off. Then in the games, it didn't translate because I think he was putting too much pressure on himself. But I think he's matured a lot. And see, that's what Nick Saban talks about sticking to it, sticking with it, and not transferring and not being like a Keelan Robinson and going to Texas and getting splinters in your rear end because he's not playing there either. It's called trust the coaches, and they have a plan for you, and they'll develop you. And that's what they did with B-Rob. And he's healthier now. He's coming off the best game of his career, arguably, against Cincinnati. He'll be a huge part of the game plan, I'm sure, tomorrow night against Georgia. And so I know – and it means a lot to him because he grew up in Tuscaloosa. He always wanted to play at Alabama. I covered the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game that he played in, and everybody was asking him, like, well, Najee Harris is the number one recruit in the country, and what are you going to Alabama for? He's like, I'm going there to beat out Najee Harris. I'm going there to compete. He goes, you know, that you got wherever you go, you got to compete. And so, you know, it's been a roller coaster for B-Rob, but he saved the best for last, and I certainly hope that he has a good last chapter to his career at Alabama tomorrow night and can help Alabama win another national championship potentially and then move on to the NFL because I really think – I know it's funny. He's 6'2", roughly 6'1.5", 225 pounds, and we've only seen him break a few long runs in his career.
Yeah.
But from what I hear, he clocks consistent 4.5s in the 40. Now, he may not show breakaway speed in games – but it's interesting. I'm going to be really fascinated to see what he does in the NFL because I still think he's probably a third or fourth round guy, probably third round being the ceiling. That's just my opinion because of running backs being devalued. But if he goes to the right situation, Miami Dolphins, I think he could be a really good player. He or James Cook. I think James Cook on the other side of the matchup is the best running back that Georgia has. I'm not a big, Zeus guy. I think he's a good player, but I think Cook is the straw that stirs the drink for them because of his versatility and with Brock Bowers. Those two guys are Batman and Robin to me, and I think they're the two guys that Kirby needs to be getting the ball to. Now, there may be somebody unsung or McConkey or somebody that steps up for Georgia, but to me, if they don't get a lot of production out of James Cook and Brock Bowers, Georgia's not going to win the game.
We've got a prediction coming in. Austin Blanco says 45-24 Alabama over Georgia.
45, that's a lot of points.
What is it, 53? 54?
I don't want to say it's 53. I'll look it up right now.
I want to say at one time it was 52, but it was around there because I picked 51 total points. I picked 31-20.
52 and a half right now.
So that's what I thought. It's around 51-52 for the total for the game.
Michael Lamar says 27-24
that would be
Alabama.
That would be right around in that area, yeah.
So that's what you think? It just roughly?
No, I picked 31-20 Alabama. I picked a late touchdown to put it away. I mean, it would be a 24-20 game right down to the end, and then I picked Alabama to get a clinching touchdown. But yeah, I mean, I'm picking right around that total. And
what changed the most from the SEC championship game to this matchup in your eyes? Other than what was it just? What Bama did to Georgia in the SEC championship game to you?
To me, it's Alabama's got the two best players. I think they've got Bryce Young, who's a generational quarterback.
Yes.
Is a potential first pick in a draft, second, whatever, high first-round pick. And then they have arguably, and, this will play itself out over next year. Hopefully he's staying healthy.
Yeah.
And then, going on into the NFL, I think – they have the best defensive player in the country and the best defensive player ever under Nick Saban, with a very close second being Minkah Fitzpatrick, okay, who I think is going to end up in Canton, Ohio. But the more you see Will Anderson, the more you start to understand that and the thing about Will, too, and I think this is another reason why I like Alabama in the matchup, is there are certain guys, and a lot of times it's quarterbacks like a Peyton Manning or a Danny Werfel or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think Will Anderson is the kind of guy that makes people play above their head. And what I mean by that is he's such a leader. He's such a guy that goes out and plays hard every snap and can do and can play the run, rush the passer, do whatever. I think he elevates those around him on the defense to play better football. I think Alabama's defense, since the Texas A&M and Florida games where they struggled some, I think if you go back and look at it, Steve, Alabama's defense has gotten better every game. And I think they and of course Cincinnati was a good matchup for Alabama. Sometimes styles make fights, but I think Alabama, they suffocated Cincinnati. And there were some people that thought maybe the Ritter could give them some problems. He did not at all. And the only thing that gives you a small bit of pause is, okay, no John Mechie. But the thing I keep saying about that is they didn't have Mechie the whole second half against Georgia.
Yeah.
And it was still a game. It was 24-17, okay? And it was anybody's game. Georgia had as much shot as Alabama. And so Alabama closed it out. But it's the injuries in the secondary and on the offensive line. From what I'm hearing, and, of course, they play all these games, but Emil Ekiyor and CO and Chris Owens are practicing. I think Owens is definitely going to go. I'm probably 75-25 that Ekiyor is at least going to start. And if his shoulder starts giving him big-time issues, they've got J.C. Latham ready to go because that's what they did against Cincinnati. But the other part is the secondary, because Josh Jobe played the last game of his career, in my opinion, at Alabama in that SEC championship game. Played pretty decent. He had the surgery on the turf toe. I don't think he'll play. Now, Kool-Aid McKinstry played on the other side because, as you remember, Jalen Armour-Davis warmed up in that game and could not go.
Correct.
And everybody saw Jalen Armour-Davis against Cincinnati. He could not move. He could, in the open field in that first drive. I mean, it was awful. And he's a physical guy. He's really played well this year. I don't see how in a week or 10 days that's improved that much. So you may end up with Kyrie Jackson starting on the other side. So you've got two corners. But I will say this, Kyrie is more talented than Jalen Harmon-Davis. But it's about this.
Mm-hmm.
Is Kirby Smart and their staff monking? Are they going to go right at him? Are they going to be able to exploit it? Or is Kyrie going to be up to the task?
So
that's the big
more
question.
predictions. Sean Nichols says 28-17.
Alabama.
And Alabama wins. And he also says Will Anderson. We're asking the question, MVP. Yeah. Will Anderson gets MVP as well. We're also asking on Facebook. We will have the live show coming up for you at the top of the hour. This is a good Facebook live show. What's the biggest concern for Alabama or Georgia in the championship game? Who gets the MVP tomorrow night? And what's the biggest key to the game tomorrow? Those are the three questions that we're asking on Facebook Live right now. Send us your responses, and we will read them to you on the air.
It is a beautiful location here at the Boathouse Kitchen and Swan Dive, and it's right here on the lake, and just a beautiful location that the folks kind enough to let us set up here on a Sunday and enjoy a little bit of their NFL last regular season day in the NFL as we get ready for the national championship coming up on Monday night. But
Black Monday where everybody gets fired.
Well, there's that too.
There's already somebody gotten fired.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So from after the games yesterday, right?
Yeah. Vic Fangio is out.
It's Denver, right? Yep, that's right.
Last
Denver.
chance to see my Falcons for the next couple of anyway.
Well, I don't want to really comment on the Falcon thing because, no Julio now. Now it looks like Ridley's going to be gone. I mean, it's sad. Had some connection there with Alabama.
Yep.
At one time, they should have won a Super Bowl, and they gagged it away.
Yep.
And then, and now you don't really know. They're kind of caught in the middle because, Matt Ryan has had a great career. Okay, let's understand that. He's the greatest quarterback in Falcon history, and yet he's on the back end. So what do? Do you try to make a trade? Do you draft a quarterback?
You're putting him above Chris Chandler? Yeah, you telling me? I'm messing with you, by the way.
But
the only other quarterback I would even put in that conversation is Bartkowski.
Yeah, I was going to say, but not even Bartkowski. I just think Matt Ryan, and I've criticized him, but come on. I mean, again, they have to decide if they're going to totally blow it up and rebuild, or or if they think a trade could happen.
Well, I tell you what, but let's pivot back over to the national championship game.
Sure.
And Scott, you were mentioning some interaction we were getting from people who believe Will Anderson for MVP. Is that right?
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Will Anderson was both on Scott's ballot and my ballot.
At least y'all were saying.
For the Heisman Trophy, but did not make the trip. And this is someone who's what would be an MVP performance, you think, for Will Anderson to earn said MVP Monday night?
Have to be multiple sacks, I would believe.
I would believe it's going to be a line along the line. It would be along the. If you ask me what his stat line would look like, it would be 8 or 9 tackles,
TFLs,
2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, strip sack for a touchdown. And what I mean by that, not him specifically picking it up and running it in, but I'm talking about strip it, and, say Dallas Turner picks it up and runs it in. And I would think if Will Anderson, or even what if he picks off a screen and runs it back for a touchdown? The likelihood of that happening, probably not, but he does drop into coverage some. So
he does.
Will doesn't have an interception in his career yet. So if he made a play like that and put that in the stat line, then that it would be along those lines. It would have to be extremely disruptive, as Scott said, 2 sacks, multiple sacks, and maybe causing a touchdown. Either a defensive touchdown where it's a scoop and score, or a pick, or setting up Alabama on the doorstep and they score.
Go ahead, Scott.
Here's the thing, though. Kirby Smart knows defense. That's the one thing we can say. Kirby Smart knows how to run defense. What does he do differently to scheme against Will Anderson this time than what he did in the first time? Because they're going to do something different. Will Anderson has been good all year in getting around different schemes and breaking through double teams and doing all the other stuff. What does Georgia do to chip him so that he doesn't do and have that big MVP type game?
Well, here's the thing. They tried it last game. Everybody doubles Will, okay? It's not like somebody goes in there and wants to basically, get themselves fired and block him with one guy.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's basically what you're going to do. But here's the thing about Will Anderson that's unique. His motor runs all the time, and he can play the run. He knows that you have to do that, and he just keeps coming. He gets a lot of sacks on second and third effort. Because I'll be honest, I've seen great players in the SEC. Myles Garrett was the number 1 pick in the draft out of Texas A&M.
Yep.
But I'll be honest with you. When I saw him play against Alabama, which I consider the cream of the crop, didn't do a whole lot, okay? I don't think that dude's motor ran every play. I think when he wanted to, he could be an unbelievable football player. But he didn't have it in here all the time.
Yeah.
I even think that's the way it is with Cleveland. And so Will Anderson's unique in the fact that he's relentless. He wants to win so badly, and he just keeps coming. And, and I just think that's something you can't coach. It's something Lawrence Taylor had in him. Bill Parcells knew how to get it out of him. That was the big thing. Because trust me,
the highs were really high, but the lows were.
That's why, and the lows were mostly off the field. But I'm just saying, with Lawrence Taylor.
Well, no, I mean even on the field, there was some highs and lows that LT had that no one really ever talks about.
Well, there was a little bit of that, but he was fortunate in that he played for a coach in Bill Parcells that was one of the greatest motivators ever. That knew how to
lit a fire.
Yeah, even Lawrence Taylor admitted to you. He's like, when Belichick and Parcells left, my career was over.
Yeah.
Because the people that knew how to push my buttons were gone and prepare me to play. And it was very important. But I will say this. I think Will Anderson has the kind of intestinal fortitude that you don't find in some guys, because I've seen some other Alabama football players like a Tim Williams, who I thought was a great talent, but at times off the field and then on the field, he could look like the greatest pass rusher in the United States, as one of our former guests, the late great Pat Dye said, or he could disappear. And so, but Will Anderson doesn't disappear. He comes all the time. I mean, when he was a freshman, it took him to about mid-season for the sacks to start coming. Yeah. But I think some of that was just you're learning to play. He's a true freshman in major college football. But I think he's just a unique talent. And I think that's one of the differences in the game, Steve. We'll see on Monday night. Yeah. But especially without Adam Anderson, does Georgia have that kind of elite pass rusher? I mean, Nolan Smith is supposed to be that, but he hasn't been.
He has not. No.
So can he do it for one game, though?
We're asking people on Facebook Live, and we'll have the show here in a couple minutes. But for our Facebook Live listeners, complete the sentence: Alabama wins if, Georgia wins if. Okay, well, I'm going to go, and this works for either side, because this was my prediction. And remember, I picked Georgia the last time.
You did,
but I said if Alabama won. I was 4 things had to happen. They had to win the game on third down offensively and defensively, and Georgia will certainly have to do that too.
Yep.
Either Bryce Young had to be a Heisman guy and seal the Heisman Trophy, which he did. And on the other side for Georgia, Stetson Bennett's going to have the best game of his career, not have the turnovers that have plagued him against Alabama. And then I think one of the two teams is going to have to run for 130-plus yards, 125-plus yards, and run the football. And then it's turnovers. The turnovers are what always decide things, because we just talked about that game going into the third quarter was still wide open. It was 24-17. Alabama had a huge second quarter.
That's right.
But Georgia was in the game right there. And the turnovers are what decided it. And really it was enough. There was more than just the pick six and the interception by Helms. What there also was Bowers, not holding on to the ball in the back of the end zone. Helms knocking it away. And at the very end of the third quarter, Georgia turning it over on downs, which is almost like a turnover.
Sean Nichols says Bama wins if we can run the ball and get off the field on third down on defense.
That's two of the factors I was just talking about.
See, I think the run was a bigger deal in the Cincinnati matchup than it is Monday night. I think they're going to do, once again, attack those corners. We're live here at the Boathouse here on Facebook Live, and a birthday announcement.
Yeah, the Christmas story.
Yeah. I love
like.
the atmosphere here. It's very nice, and they're actually changing over from Christmas to Valentine's Day here as we are getting ready to go live on the air. I wish we were getting this on camera, Scott Theisen.
No, we're not. My camera was being used. I didn't know where the other ones were.
But as we've said, I think I slightly disagree with you though, Steve. I do think that you don't reinvent the wheel, but I do think it was big for Alabama in the first matchup, and it surprised me. That was one of the reasons they won the game. Is Alabama averaged 5 yards a carry against Georgia, and if you remember in the fourth quarter, the game was still somewhat in doubt because Alabama had not put it away yet, and the Crimson Tide were able to run the ball on Georgia and take some air out from the ball after that big 24-yard conversion from Slade Bolden. It just sort of surprised me. Now, it may have been
We've only got 2 minutes left on the top of the hour.
Sean Nichols having some fun here saying Georgia wins if Bama and Nick Saban gets COVID and doesn't make it to the stadium.
Well, that didn't help Auburn last year. But,
No, it did not. Not at all. So we're about to connect back over to the radio station, and over the next 2 hours, we're going to be the lead-in for Alabama, Georgia women's basketball today. So we'll get another matchup between these two squads, just this time on the hardwood.
Yeah, we will. Joni Crenshaw, former University of Alabama player under Rick Moody. She's the head coach of the Lady Dogs.
Now, as a high school official, I get to help model these same values to others. Maybe the colleges and the pros didn't call.
She's got a really good record against Alabama, and her alma mater. So the Tide coming off of a tough loss at home, 65-62 to the Mississippi State Lady Bulldogs, and so they had beaten Auburn early. I think they're 1-1 in the league. So Alabama trying to go to 2-1 and get a win over a pretty good Georgia team.
We'll take a pause here and get ready to join over the airwaves of 97.
This is Sports Center.
And it is decision day in the NFL, entering this final Sunday of the season. 2 division titles and 3 playoff spots are still up for grabs, with 7 early games about to get underway. In the
good, man. How are you?
Can wrap up a wild card with a
we are good.
14
We're
Jaguars. A win by Indianapolis eliminates Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Tonight, the Raiders host the.
Oh no! Oh crap! Hold on. The internet just crapped, and looks like the power just flipped. Hold on.
Back, ESPN's Nick Wagner.
Then how are we connected?
I didn't lose anything. I just had you off. I was making sure I didn't lose anything.
Oh, okay.
He was only limited in practice, so he wasn't able to take all the reps. But they wanted him to make sure he was getting reps in practice so that they
gotta love me some Guathny
and how he could grip the ball and how he could throw the ball.
A loss for San Francisco would open the door for New Orleans.
Yeah, that was weird. The power went out for a second.
And a 49ers loss to the Rams. Los Angeles needs a win over San Francisco or a loss by Arizona against Seattle to wrap up the NFC West.
Was it Smoky Mike doing the
AFC
flickering
the
the
Jets? A Jets upset would give the Patriots.
I don't know what it was. That was weird.
Beats Miami.
I know that there's somebody working on the building, so maybe that was what it was.
Goes a fired head coach Vic Fangio. The team ended the season at 7-10, their 3rd consecutive losing season. In college football, the national championship is set for tomorrow night on ESPN as Georgia faces Alabama yet again. Meanwhile, Ole Miss quarterback John Rice Plumlee announced on social media he is transferring to Central Florida. And tonight in the NBA, Klay Thompson returns for the Warriors in their game against the Cavaliers.
If you want to find quality new hires in the new year, post on Indeed. When you sponsor a post, you'll get matched instantly with quality candidates who's
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You know the crowd is ready. The top-ranked Alabama Crimson.
All right, here we go.
3rd-ranked Georgia Bulldogs. You ready? The college football on National Championship, presented by AT&T.
Our coverage of the national championship game on 97.7 ESPN The Zone is brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, Hometown Lenders, Valley Equipment Rental, North Alabama Mortgage, Bubby's Diner, and by DOC. Listen to all the coverage and game right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, Mike's on.
It's a special Sunday edition as we have made the journey up to Indianapolis, and we have found our way here to the Boathouse Swan Dive as we're getting ready for the national championship game coming up tomorrow night, along with Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton here with you from the Boathouse, as quite a few Colt fans have populated the bar area right in front of us in what is the final Sunday of the regular season in the National Football League, and the Colts taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in their final tune-up, and what is have some significance playoff-wise as the Colts need to take care of business today. Anyway,
they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
That
So
shouldn't be too hard.
You would think. I am going to try to keep an eye on the Falcons-Saints game, as that is an afternoon kick time.
But it's interesting sitting here watching the Colts game in the land of
Indianapolis,
blue and white,
Yep.
and seeing how they react to NFL. And last night we were at the Pacers game, and we were talking to Pacers fans, and they were talking about the Colts and everything, and they were asking me about the Alabama, and we got to the comparison that the people here in Indianapolis, that's how people in Alabama treat college football, how they look at it here in Indianapolis. And they were like, really? College football? You guys look at college football like we do here with the NFL. So it's interesting listening and visiting with Colts fans and being here in Indianapolis, kind of picking their brains a little bit.
Well, it is, and of course, as we know, college football in this state is, Indiana's had some bright moments lately, but they didn't have a good year this year.
No.
And then, as I said, Notre Dame has been a factor, but has not won a title in a long time.
88.
So it's
and we know about Purdue, Marty.
Yeah,
Marty talked to us all about Purdue.
Yeah.
Marty Bacon. Yeah. Looking forward to heading back to downtown tomorrow afternoon for the drive. Special time for the drive tomorrow is 2 to 4 tomorrow Central Time, and that'll lead into the coverage of the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
We'll have the Facebook Live show from 1:30 to 2.
Yep.
Ahead of that as well. And make sure you go to our YouTube page right now at 97.7 ESPN The Zone, because there's every press conference from here in Indianapolis. There's this morning's coaches press conference up there. We have Alabama practice video up there as well. We'll have Georgia practice video up there. We've got player press conferences from both teams on our YouTube page. So go to our YouTube page and check out everything from the national championship.
Played some audio from the teams yesterday. The coaches were featured today. Here is a little bit from this morning from, let's see where I have this queued up.
Well, I'll go first. It's a great honor to be across from Coach Saban and the tremendous job he's done, but it's probably nothing unusual for him to be in this game, because he's been in this game an awful lot, and I know he doesn't take that for granted, because I know the work and effort he puts into it to get his team here. I've been able to see that. I've been a part of that. I also know the work and effort we've put in to get to this point. It is no easy job to get to this point in the season, through the SEC gauntlet, through the championship game, through the semifinals. It's a tough, rigorous season. So to be in this position is certainly an honor. To be across from Coach, it's a tremendous honor for our team and our organization. But like we've always said, it's not about he and I. It's about the players and their opportunities to go out and be successful and make a lasting memory.
Coach Saban?
Well, from my standpoint,
I think University of Georgia, Kirby's program is probably one of the elite programs, in the country. He's done an outstanding job there of making that program what it is. And obviously, the players and people that are in the organization have made that program what it is. And we certainly feel like, this is, the best team in the country that we have an opportunity to play. Most consistent team all season long in terms of how they played. And it's a tremendous challenge for us and really kind of an honor to have the opportunity to play against what we feel is one of the most elite programs in the country. And, probably just looking at the future, probably will be for some time in the future as well.
That is both head coaches, and that echo kind of permeated throughout. I was texting a couple other people that were having the same issue from this morning. But nonetheless, here we go again. 2018, we fast forward to 2022 with the same matchup, but a different venue at Lucas Oil instead of downtown Atlanta. But looking back to 2018, there was players that made impacts that didn't necessarily it's not about those first 22. It's about how deep you are, Drew.
Well, and that's what we were talking about in our Facebook Live conversation before the show, because Alabama's going to have some of that depth step up because they've had injuries throughout the year, more than most.
Yeah.
But, it's the way they recruit, the way they develop. We talked about it, for the majority of the season, Jalen Armour-Davis, Josh Jobe were the two starting corners. It would be, I think, extremely likely that we see Kool-Aid McKinstry, true freshman, then Kyrie Jackson, a junior college transfer, potentially starting in the national championship game due to said injury, a hip injury to Jalen Armour-Davis, where even if he plays, I don't know how many snaps you'll get out of him. And then we know Josh Jobe had surgery on a turf toe, so I would think it would be unlikely. And you look at Chris Allen, there's people still asking me about Chris Allen potentially playing in this game because he did some warm-up drills, before the game against Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
I would still characterize that as I would be surprised, just based on what Nick Saban has said, because he said the rehab was a little more difficult. And again, Dallas Turner has developed as a true freshman. He beat out Chris Braswell. He beat out some guys that were already in the program. And, Drew Sanders got hurt as well and hurt his thumb. And had the hand injury. So he was
we have a Jalil Billingsley sighting.
Well, I think if you're talking about guys who could potentially be someone, Scott mentioned it in our Facebook Live conversation, and I think you did as well, somebody stepping up that's unexpected, he would be a guy because he's only really had a couple of really nice games against Southern Miss.
Miami
was his best game. He was a factor. He made a couple plays against Miami. He made a couple plays against Ole Miss, but Southern Mississippi was probably his best game.
Yeah,
he's very capable of being a guy that could step up and replace some of the production you lose by not having John Mechie. So, and everybody's talked about Brock Bowers, and deservedly so. The guy is a future first-round pick. He's a freak. But is Jalil Billingsley capable? Absolutely. He would be somebody, I think, flying under the radar for Alabama, he and Cameron Latou, because they were a bigger part of the offense early, then had drops, then had inconsistencies. But for one game, yes, I think that's possible.
There is no doubt of his athletic ability. But I think the bigger issue is something that you brought up during the Facebook show, and that's in between the ears.
Yeah.
Is he getting it? And that's a question we don't know the answer to.
We don't. That's when you're talking about young players like a Kyrie Jackson. When you're talking about Jalil's even is a junior, but he didn't play a lot early in his career. Are these guys mentally going to prepare themselves for a stage like this?
Yeah.
That's a lot of it. A lot of the mental part and it's what I talked about with Brian Robinson. Performance anxiety. Are you going to be ready to go? Personally, I do think Kool-Aid McKinstry will be. Now, is it going to be perfect? Probably not. He gave up a deep ball to George Pickens in the first matchup, made a couple of mistakes. But I will say this, I've watched Kool-Aid McKinstry since he was a freshman in high school. My man likes the lights. He likes people watching him. He likes people wanting to talk to him. You know, he was a big-time high school basketball player, too. They won a lot of titles in football and basketball with him at Pinson Valley. And Pinson Valley was a program that had not done that before.
Yeah.
So I think that Kool-Aid will be ready to go. Kyrie Jackson, that's a great question. I don't think it's a matter of talent with Kyrie Jackson. I think it's a matter of execution. So we'll see what happens. So going to be interested to see, you know, who steps up for Alabama. And then on the other side for Georgia, could it be a Ladd McConkey? You know, could it be, a George Pickens? Because we've heard about George Pickens for 3 years. I've only seen him take over a game one time, and that was Baylor in the Sugar Bowl, where he had an unbelievable game. Is he capable of doing that on Monday night? Everybody keeps saying he's a first-round pick. I've never seen that, at least consistently. So it's going to be – but I will say this. The biggest example of what we're talking about in opportunities is in the 2011 National Championship game in the rematch. Ironically, it was a rematch between Alabama and LSU. If you remember – the leading receiver on the team that year, and a guy's had a really good career at Alabama that people kind of forget about, is Marquise Mays. He had a really good senior year. He was the best receiver on the team after DeArmond Carter was a blinking light, and then he was a really good punt returner too. And he broke a punt return against LSU, but pulled his hamstring, and he was distraught. He tried to play, he couldn't go. But what did it open the door for? It opened the door for Kevin Norwood, who made a lot of plays when they went after the Honey Badger Tyrann Mathieu. So could something like that happen on either side Monday night?
Randy King asked us on Facebook, and this is something that'll come up, guys, if Kirby Smart does not win tomorrow night. Is Kirby Smart a big game coach?
Well, here's the deal. He has won an SEC championship, okay?
He has.
He beat Auburn, and that was a rematch. Because they got
waxed down out on the plains.
Now a big part,
go ahead. I know where you're going.
The biggest reason, though, and this is fate, and could this also happen to Alabama with the offensive line injuries and the injuries in the secondary? Kerryon Johnson, who we all know very well here. We've all had him on shows on our station. One of the greatest athletes in the state's history.
No doubt.
Got hurt, and he wasn't the same. He could not carry the load that he did against Georgia the first time. And that completely changed everything. Because you know how Gus Malzahn's offenses are. If you can't run it, sayonara. And that's what it was, and Georgia beat them 28-7.
Well, remember, that was still a fourth quarter game in that SEC championship game there in 2017 before Kerryon just could not carry the rock anymore. But
if Kirby doesn't win Monday, do we continue to talk about big game? Because ultimately the big game in Georgia is the national championship.
Not too much. To me, all it'll continue to be is Nick Saban is the boogeyman. Okay, because really, if you look at Kirby's career, they've beaten everybody else. Okay, they've beaten everybody else.
Is this Michael Jordan and the Bulls? Is this like Michael Jordan and the Bulls, where the Bulls and Michael Jordan ran everything, and Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, all of these great players, these great teams couldn't do anything because the Bulls were in the middle of their dynasty. Is this Alabama? Is this Alabama? And the rest of that time frame?
Well, it really feels that way, doesn't it? I hadn't thought about it in that perspective.
Patrick Ewing's a great example.
There's a lot of Hall of Famers that came through that time that didn't win a championship.
But there's only one ring.
But there's a lot of great college coaches, a lot of great college football players that haven't won one because of what Alabama is doing.
So that storyline, no doubt, will persist. I was thinking back to SEC Media Days as well when the storyline just kept persisting that if Georgia does not win it this year, when would they? This is the best setup for Georgia that they've had under Kirby Smart in his 6-year tenure there in Athens. And never's a long time for people to say it's never going to happen. But boy, this maybe something along the lines of that 86-year drought that we had with the Boston Red Sox, where it took a monumental comeback of down 3-0 in the ALCS championship to more or less break that hex that they had. Something along those lines. It has that storyline feel to me right now, Drew.
Well, it does a little bit, and but again, anything can happen in football. And the biggest thing that Alabama's got to do to win the game on Monday night is they got to keep Bryce Young upright.
Yep.
I mean, they got to give him a chance to do his thing.
Well, the improvement along the offensive line is another storyline that has not talked nearly enough about, and specifically at the center position in Seth McLaughlin.
Yeah, Seth McLaughlin from Buford, Georgia. He's really done a great job down the stretch. I think J.C. Latham did a great job that doesn't get talked about enough in the game against Cincinnati, because of course, what you'll hear is, well, he's just a 5-star that they plugged in, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'll just tell you this. I've seen other schools, there's one that spent $30 million on a recruiting class on NIL that all they do is lose. Okay, they beat Alabama, and they're playing more of. They're giving. I'm seeing all these tweets and pictures of people giving the Christmas presents, and it's an Alabama Texas A&M score shirt. Well, congratulations, you beat Alabama, but you fell flat on your face the rest of the season. Okay,
sure did.
And then you didn't want to play in the Gator Bowl and risk another loss, so you basically just crapped out. And unlike LSU, you didn't even play. So to me, all I'm saying is, just because you recruit 5 stars, that does not mean you're going to win. Okay, I mean, I'll give another example. There was at least 2 times during his tenure in Knoxville that that our good friend Butch Jones brought in top 10, top 5 recruiting classes.
Yeah.
But yet they didn't win championships. See, Nick Saban makes it look easy, but it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to know how to build an organization. You got to know how to hire coaches. That's what, to me, is the most amazing thing about Coach Saban, is because, and the streak is alive because Jay Valai is gone after this game. He never brings the same coaching staff back.
There's a question on Facebook Live that deals exactly with that. If Nick Saban and company do win and Bill O'Brien gets the Jaguars job or the Carolina offensive coordinator position, is that Nick Saban's greatest season as coaching and rehab project?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't consider BOB a rehab project. I consider it that he got over his head because the owner gave him too much power with the Texans. In other words, he shouldn't have been buying the groceries and cooking them. So he shouldn't have been both. It's very hard to do.
Yes.
Early in his career, when he was just the coach, they were good. Okay, but I mean, I will say this: if Alabama can win this rematch and can make history and beat a team twice and win a national championship, plus win it back-to-back twice, this would be the second time. I do think this is Nick Saban's greatest coaching job ever, because they had to get through all these injuries. They had a team that was very young early, Scott.
Not to mention the Florida game, the LSU game.
Well, that's what I'm mentioning.
Yeah.
They lacked leadership early.
Yeah.
It had to almost develop. I've told you guys many times that I thought it was different this year with Nick Saban, that he was having to massage this team and not hold an iron fist and just, So
we never had that blow up
because they're fragile.
Yep.
Now, I'm sure behind closed doors there were some ugly moments here where he was peeling some paint, but he never really did it a whole lot. As you guys heard on 97.7 The Zone, we carried all the press conferences and the Nick Saban show. When he went on rants, it was mostly about expectations.
Well, it was mainly raining at the fans.
Yeah, at the fans. Yes, correct.
So it's hard.
Okay, let me ask you this, though. What have you seen from Bill O'Brien this year? Because every offensive coordinator does bring their own little things to the table. This offense is primarily the same, but what has Bill O'Brien brought to this offense that's different than what we saw last year or the year before or even the year before?
Well, I'll be honest with you. The thing that I've noticed about this group is he's thrown to the backs more, because another underrated part of this deal is if you go back and look at B-Rob's statistics, and I'm not just talking about rushing, he's got nearly 30 catches. So He's involved the running backs a little bit more, and then I'll tell you what, this is another situation of trying to overcome a big injury. The injury that's not played up nearly enough about a guy that was a playmaker that would have been a problem, just like James Cook, Chase McClellan. Chase McClellan was basically evolving into a James White type player that they had in New England, okay, as a runner and receiver. I still think when he gets back from his injury that he's going to be a great player. And if I'm B.O.B., I'm real picky about who's coming to see me in the NFL because the Carolina Panthers right now don't even have a quarterback. And you don't know, are they going to draft one? I mean, what are they going to do? They're not very good. And then you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, guys. We're looking at them on the TV here against the Indianapolis Colts.
They're up 7-0 right now.
They have ETN who'll be coming off an injury, a foot injury, and they'll have Trevor Lawrence. So they have some pieces. But what they don't have is a sane owner. And so that's the one. I've studied Bill Belichick, and one of the most fascinating things is when you go back and look at those documentaries between he and Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
A big part of what Bill Belichick did when he chose, to take his next job, which was after he got fired in Cleveland, and then go to New England, is he didn't stay with the Jets because he didn't trust the ownership.
That's exactly where I was going.
So if I'm Bill O'Brien and I'm looking at the track record of Shad Khan, I'm not liking what I'm seeing. Okay, I want an owner that I can trust, that's going to give me the tools to win. And I don't think that. I mean,
so it's better for Bill O'Brien to maybe stay another year?
One more year. And to me, because there'll be more college opportunities that open up.
But does he want college opportunities?
But they'll open up in the pros too. Because to me, I'll be honest with you guys, I'll use an old Nick Saban term. Okay, create value for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got coming back next year at Alabama?
Quite a bit.
Bryce Young, Chase McClellan.
You got quite a bit coming back.
Potentially John Mechie. Then potentially we're hearing freakish things about Jahmyr Gibbs in practice, who came from Georgia Tech. In other words, Alabama's going to be one of the favorites next year.
There's no doubt.
If you put up video game numbers with this offense.
Well, that's a shock.
But I'm just saying. No, you look at Steve Sarkisian. Look at what he did coming back for a second year at Alabama last year. He became the head coach at Texas, not the OC at Texas, the head coach. Bill O'Brien could create opportunities for himself by coming back to Alabama. I don't know if he will.
So Evan Neal will be gone. Who else is got? Chris Owens will be gone.
Well, are you talking about like off the offense?
Brian Robinson will be gone, obviously. Just taking a look at players that are not. Slay Bolden, is he coming back?
Yes, he's a junior.
Well, come on now.
Are you crazy? He's not going to the league.
I'm just asking a question.
No, he's
just asking a question.
What's that, Will Anderson?
No. Of course, Will's coming back. He's not going to be one of these guys that listens to these idiots and say just sit out the whole year and be the first pick. I mean, because you don't get any better, sitting on your butt. So,
Jameson Williams is gone.
Yeah, Jameson Williams. You just mentioned that. Evan Neal, of course. These guys are both gone. The other guys that I've heard that are leaning that way would be Jordan Battle. And I think potentially if 8 has a great game tomorrow night, Christian Harris, say he gets the scoop and score, okay? Say he has a sack. Say he gets an INT, whatever. Plays a great game. What if he was MVP? I think he would be gone. I've heard the one pleasant surprise, and again, this can change. What if he makes 15 tackles? Is that Henry To'oTo'o could return. And so
really,
and so well, I'll just say this: if you go back and look and read the comments of Henry To'oTo'o's father, when Henry T went in the portal, he said basically, we made a mistake. We should have gone to Alabama the first time, and we are going to listen to Coach Saban, what he tells us to do, and then if we get the feedback that we want, in other words, what he's saying was we trust him completely. And we're going to go on his word. He was coming to Alabama. And now I think if Coach Saban goes to To'oTo'o and his dad and says, well, look, your grade is second, third round. I think in another year in our system, you can enhance your value and be a first-round pick, then I think he would come back. Now, if Nick Saban tells him you got, say, a low first-round grade, But I think with workouts, you'll be up for a solid first round. He'll tell him to go. But I just think that Toa and his father are going to listen to Nick Saban.
We do need to take our first time out. We do have phone lines available, open to you as we're live here at the Boathouse, just north of Indianapolis, getting ready for Monday night's national championship game here on a Sunday. Let's go ahead and take that first time out, Chad, and we will be right back.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. Stop into the University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Go Mustangs!
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well-trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121. Here in the South, we like our traditions, like Alabama football and tailgating on fall Saturdays. And the best way to start your tailgate? Visit Brooks & Collier to see North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers. Big Green Egg, Blaze, and Traeger. Everything you need for that perfect tailgate. Check out our rubs and seasonings. We have a full wall to please any taste palate. Visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for 75 years. Roll Tide.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust. So come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Leaving his mark on sports talk radio with a paddle.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Join Wes Neighbors weekday afternoons on The Drive, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
What's happening? What's happening?
Back here on a Sunday, just north of downtown Indianapolis, maybe a fair bit north of Indianapolis, the truth be said. We're at the Boathouse Kitchen. It's the Boathouse
Smells good.
Kitchen in Swan Dive. Yeah, they have something called a Boathouse Steam Pot, and it looks fantastic. So I am, mouth is watering as we've got some water right in front of us here as well. If you'd like to participate, you can join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline at 256-576-4977. Certainly talking about tomorrow night's national championship game. Also keeping an eye on the NFL, the early returns in this final regular season Sunday. The Steelers with a 3-point lead over the Ravens, 3-0. That's late first quarter. Also late first quarter, it's the Packers with a touchdown lead over the Lions, 7-0. Now, if the Lions lose today and the Jaguars win today, the Lions will get the first overall pick in the NFL draft.
Which means they're probably going to move on from Jared Goff and draft a quarterback way too high.
As it stands right now, the Jaguars are keeping their end of the deal as they lead at 7-0 over Indy. Indy needs to win to get in to the playoffs. If they don't win, then there's a whole other scenario that I don't have in front of me. But the easiest path for the Colts is win and they get in the playoffs. Still a lot of football in front of them, but they trail at 7-0 to the Jaguars. Titans and Texans, that is scoreless. Close to the end of the first quarter. Bears with a field goal lead over the Vikings. That is also late first quarter. And the Washington football team with a field goal lead over Jake Fromm and the New York Football Giants.
He's actually starting, huh?
He's actually getting the start today.
Wow. That's something I didn't know if I'd ever see. Jake Fromm starting in the NFL. But I still think Jake made a mistake not coming back to school. It still kind of shocked me that he didn't come back to Georgia. I don't know if it was a distrust with Georgia's coaching staff and the development and all that, but
change at offensive coordinator position as well probably didn't help.
No, yeah, but it's interesting that he's starting. But I will say this, just to tell you how good Alabama was last year, and I know the LSU fans continue to keep up the mantra that 2019 was the greatest team ever.
Yes,
but this is pretty good here. Mac Jones has set the Patriots rookie record for TDs and yards, and I think he'll be the rookie of the year offensively, by the way.
They're playing the Dolphins later on today.
Yep. Devontae Smith set the Eagles rookie record last night for touchdowns and receiving yards. Jalen Waddle has already set the Miami rookie record for catches. And Najee Harris has already set the all-purpose yards record for a rookie for the Steelers. That's pretty good, all those guys. And I think Scott would agree with me here, too. He's a Midwest guy. He's familiar with the Steelers, but Pittsburgh's offensive line is not elite.
No.
And Najee Harris has still put up really good numbers. Here's what I think.
Well, they have an aging Ben Roethlisberger
and he's about done.
Who's well past.
Yeah, they need a quarterback. And the thing is, and I'll just go back to the NFL draft. You just were mentioning the first pick.
Yeah,
and look, this would make history for Alabama, but I'm just being honest. If he's dominant in the game Monday night, and continues his ascent, I'm just saying, if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, I've already got my quarterback. I've already got a couple of running backs. What do you need? What you have to do is build a line around Trevor Lawrence. You've got Cam Robinson on one side.
Yep.
Here's what you do. You go get Evan Neal for the other side, and you start mashing people. I think Evan Neal could be the first pick just because look at this draft cycle. There's not a great quarterback in my opinion. Now, they always overdraft them. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
But there's not a guy out there.
Pickett probably seems to be the guy that is going to get the most love.
Should he go in the
early
top
on.
5, though?
But it always happens, though.
I mean, I'm just
someone
like, wow.
falls in love with somebody,
and then they get fired. But I mean,
on Facebook Live, Randy King brings he's talking about Bryce Young and everything. He said, and then Bill O'Brien, go back to our Bill O'Brien discussion.
Yes.
He said Bill did a pretty decent job this year. He says, I think the struggles at Florida, Texas A&M, and Auburn had everything to do with crowd noise. Bryce didn't get a chance to prepare for that last season.
Look, here's the deal. in those games early, you had an offensive line with a lot of new parts. Even Bryce, in his first year starting, had never been in an environment like that. You had Jamison Williams, who was still getting comfortable being at Alabama, just like Henry To'oTo'o. There was a lot of guys that didn't have a ton of experience that you just have to you have to grow. You have to go through the fire, so to speak. And I think that's what happened, with Alabama in those situations in BOB. Now, were there some questionable decisions on the goal line and things of that nature, and the offense and the run? Yeah, but you can say that there was said about Lane Kiffin. It was said about Steve Sarkisian. Every OC can be questioned.
Yeah.
But here's the bottom line with it. And Steve, you kind of referenced it at the start of the show. The Alabama O-line has gotten better.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. You've got a 1,500-yard receiver who could have easily won the Biletnikoff Award out of the portal.
Yep.
John Mechie had nearly 1,200 yards receiving and 96 catches before he went down. You've got a nearly 1,300-yard rusher in B-Rob, who was a first-team All-SEC player. Cameron Latou caught 7 touchdown passes, even with the drops during the regular season. What I'm going back to, you had a guy in Jason McClellan who was coming into his own. The production was there. Was it pretty all the time? No, but there was new parts. I still think B.O.B. gets an A- for what he did. I'm sorry. I think he got way too much criticism because of what I just mentioned in that tweet.
Right.
All them dudes are in the NFL are studs. And Steve Sarkisian is an elite play caller, but he gone too. But it's different styles. But I think Bill O'Brien is still a great play caller. Anybody that has been employed for a long time by Bill Belichick can coach. That's why when Brian Daboll got criticized his year at Alabama before going back to the NFL, and Alabama won the national championship that year, I thought it was asinine. And you've seen what Brian Daboll has done with the Bills and Josh Allen. They have become a playoff organization.
Yeah.
And if I am the Miami Dolphins and they fall flat again today and they lose decisively to the Colts, if I am said owner, but I don't think they have a good owner, and that's the bad part. But if I were a sane owner, I would fire Brian Flores and I would go hire Brian Daboll to be my head coach because he believes in Tua and can build an offense around him. And then he's from the Belichick tree, so he'll find somebody that's sane that can, as a matter of fact, you could probably keep the DC you got now. But I'm just saying, I don't know if Brian Flores and that coaching staff understand offense. You know what I'm saying? I think Flores is a great defensive mind. I don't know if they understand offense, but what it also could be is the owner meddling. And that's what I keep talking about. If you've got a bad owner who doesn't know what the hell he's doing and doesn't know how to hire people to run a football organization, it's awful. And that's why Alabama's football program is so good. Greg Byrne is a great athletic director, but don't misunderstand anything. There is one person that runs Alabama's football program, and it's Nick Saban. And he holds everybody accountable for what they do. And if they don't do it right, he gets rid of them. And so that's the reason Alabama's been so consistent. That's why I knew Bill O'Brien would be a good fit at Alabama. He did a great job at Penn State under extremely difficult circumstances. Okay? And so that's why I think and he's getting a bad rap at Houston because of how it ended. But he won 3 or 4 division championships.
Yeah.
So he knows how to win. Okay, he knows how to coach. He just got too much power in Houston. That owner, who he probably loved, the McNair family, they put too much trust in him as far as too much responsibility. I even think if you had asked Bill O'Brien privately, off the record, if you could go back in time, he would probably have just
stayed at Penn State?
No. Found a general manager that he could work with in synergy and run the organization.
In Houston.
Yes, in Houston. Now, Bill Belichick can run the whole show, but what I'm trying to tell you is there's only one Bill Belichick and there's only one Nick Saban.
Yep.
And everybody keeps trying to replicate it. They keep trying to hire all his assistant coaches as head coaches.
Yep.
They've all been disasters except for Kirby. Kirby has done a good job. He's done everything but win the national championship. Can he get his first one on Monday night? We don't know. But he's probably had the most success because Will Muschamp has been brutality. Okay, he cannot run a program to save his life. He shouldn't even ever be a head coach again. I mean, that's just the way it is. And, and so there's all these guys that are getting head coaches. We don't know if Sark can do it. I mean, there's a big question about that. And I think Jimbo's overrated, okay, viciously. So
he at least has a title.
Well, that was in another league.
I'm just saying. I'm not disagreeing with you.
So does Ed Ogeron and Gene Chisholm. Okay, that's all. That's how
Gene's back in the pool.
That's how I categorize that. Even if I'll categorize it this way. Lightning, you can catch lightning in a bottle and have a perfect storm.
Yes,
it happened at LSU. It happened at Florida State in those 2 years, and it happened for Gene because he got Cam Newton.
So, with this highly touted recruiting class coming in, paid for and all, well documented, paid for and all,
3 to 5 losses.
So really, 3 to 5 losses,
guaranteed.
No chance they make a playoff.
Nope.
Zero chance.
At least not next year.
Well, let's pull it into the handful of years. 3-4 years is usually how we assess a recruiting cycle. Do we not?
Do I think he'll beat Nick Saban consistently? Absolutely not. So I'm sorry. Matter of fact, I think they got an ass whooping coming in Tuscaloosa next year. So just get ready.
Get your popcorn ready, boys and girls.
So
it's Sunday, but Drew DeArmond bringing the heat as well, even on a Sunday.
And look at Brian Kelly. He knows how to win. He did it at Notre Dame at the highest level that anybody since Lou Holtz had.
I don't know it right now, resume to resume, talent for talent. If you tell me who's going to have a better record moving forward right now, Brian Kelly or Jimbo Fisher, I'm going to say Jimbo Fisher.
I'm going with Kelly. I think he's a better coach because look, and this is going to sound funny because of the touchdown Jesus and then the tradition and all that, but it's harder to win at Notre Dame than it is at FSU. You're in the middle of a talent cavalcade in Florida State and in a league that's not any good. So if you recruit the best players, you should win. I mean, Dabo's been doing it, but now even Dabo has learned that eventually you get picked off. And what I mean by picked off is your coaches start leaving, okay? You can't keep them together all the time because you win so much, they get head coaching opportunities.
I guess the other factor that I'm putting into this, Drew, is what kind of foundation do you have around you? And at LSU right now, it is a mess.
It's a mess. It's going to take a couple of years to.
That is part of the factor of
stabilize it. But I will say this: people forget because of the way it ended. It was a mess at Notre Dame when Charlie Weiss was fired. Okay?
Yeah.
It was awful by the end.
I just don't know organizationally if it was as crumbled as it currently is
and I'll tell you
at
this.
Red Stick.
And I'll tell you this. The reason I like Brian Kelly, he brought Frank Wilson back. Now he did lose Corey.
That was a good move.
But he's in the middle of a talent hotbed. Okay.
That's true.
In Louisiana, where you're the top dog and a lot of kids grow up wanting to wear the purple and gold. Okay. I think Brian Kelly, and I've watched him coach, I think he's a very solid tactician. He just didn't have enough Jimmies and Joes to beat Alabama. Okay. And to win or Clemson or a college football playoff game. And that's why he left Notre Dame. Because I think he felt like they hit the roof, that they hit the ceiling, that they were not going to ever win a national title there because he couldn't get good enough players.
All right.
And see, I think he'll be able to do that at LSU, and then I think he'll coach circles around Jimbo. I just really do.
We do need to take our final time out here. We're on for another hour. Our lead-in, we are leading you into Alabama, Georgia today. Just a different realm and a different court, if you will. We're leading you up to Roger Hoover, who will have the play-by-play call between Alabama and Georgia women's basketball, which will take over our airwaves in about 1 hour. Chad, let's take our final time out. Appreciate Chad working on a Sunday as well back at the ranch. I bet it's warm back there.
Making a resolution to stop making resolutions? Power move. Going to bed
Rainy.
3 hours.
It's all
before the
rainy
ball
today.
drops.
Just rainy.
Switching to crazy fast gig speed internet from WOW. Power move. Get the speed you need with gig speed internet for just $64.99 a month. Plus, get a year of HBO Max included and $300 on us. Sign up at wowway.com today.
Wow.
After the promotional period, HBO Max will auto-renew at then prevailing rate. Limited to new customers with auto-pay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom factory order today and get $1,000 off MSRP. Now at WoodyAndersonFord.com or at the corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Here in the South, we like our traditions, like Alabama football and tailgating on fall Saturdays. And the best way to start your tailgate? Visit Brooks & Collier to see North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers. Big Green Egg, Blaze, and Traeger. Everything you need for that perfect tailgate. Check out our rubs and seasonings. We have a full wall to please any taste palate. Visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for 75 years. Roll Tide.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center,
Front seven. They're great size, really good football players, physical, very instinctive plays. They got some really good pass rush which Bryce Young has played with. He's got good weapons around him. He's got that's the ultimate challenge when you look across the board.
I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's Alabama and Georgia for the national championship.
I think it's pretty obvious that you're very, very proud of, our team.
Listen to all the coverage and game right here.
Hopefully we play well enough to beat a great Bama team.
On 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I guess this is sort of a game day tailgate show. Sort of. Along with Jared DeArmond, Steve Moulton, and Scott Theisen here with you.
Well, it's a game day tailgate show with ice out in front of us where the ducks and the geese are walking on top of the ice because there is frozen ice out on the lake.
Think about this. Back in Alabama, it's 57 degrees.
It's not that way here, and it's only getting colder. We've seen 19. We've seen 15 degrees. We've seen frozen ice.
Yep.
We've seen sleet. We've seen snow. I don't know whose idea it was to play this or have this national championship game here, but Drew, we're going to blame Mark Emmert because,
was he a nomination?
He finished second for moron of the year.
Yeah, he was. So, this, in my vote, this moves him up to number one because this has been, look. The people have been fantastic. They have been awesome.
People here at the Boathouse.
They've done a fantastic job. They did the Super Bowl a few years ago. They got lucky. It was like 55 degrees, 60 degrees.
Yeah.
They're doing exactly what they did for the Super Bowl. They're blocking off the downtown streets. There's parties going on all over the place. But the problem is it's 20 degrees and nobody's standing outside at the parties.
Yep. Well, it is tough with the weather, no doubt about it, in the cold environment. But I am looking forward to seeing Lucas Oil Stadium. I've never seen that. I've been fortunate in my career here with 97.7 The Zone to have been to a game and covered a game in Jerry World. To me, it's still the standard. I was in the Georgia Dome a few times. Now
Mercedes-Benz?
And yes, I've been in Mercedes-Benz, both as a fan and covering a game. So it's been, very interesting to be, in that environment. It's a great stadium as well. But I will say, Jerry World is still number one. I want to see, Lucas Oil Stadium, how it is. It's thank the Lord it's inside with a closed roof.
I asked if the roof was going. I was like, man, I wonder what the chances are that the roof would be open.
You know how it is when you pack for a trip.
Yep.
There's always something you screw up and forget, right?
What did you screw up and forget?
For me, I left my gloves in the glove box.
Oh, see that's.
That's okay. But the good news is where we're going to be tomorrow, the Slippery Noodle. It's only a block away from the stadium. So I'm right across the street. So we do not have a lot of long walk to
Well, that's good. That's good. Good job out of you. But I'm just saying that's the one thing I did forget, as Brett Beard and I were making our trek.
I do have some extra gloves. I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to hook you up.
And it was kind of like, I think it was when I was looking at the photos of you guys from the trip so far.
Yep.
And you guys were at the Pacers game, and you still had your gloves on.
Yes, I did.
And I turned and I was like, I told Brett, I said, well, I do know something I did forget. I said I left them in the glove box.
I've got some extra gloves. I'll be happy to hook you up, Jared DeArmond.
So there you go. I did forget the gloves.
But we getting you prepared for Monday night's championship game. We've talked a lot about Alabama offensively. I did want to get into Georgia because there has been a lot of conversation that I've read and that I've heard out of the Atlanta metropolitan area that Georgia went vanilla in their attack to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Do you buy that?
Are you talking about offensively?
Yeah, offensively.
No. Because
I don't buy it either.
Again, that's stupidity. I thought actually Munkin. Todd Munkin called it a good game because what he did was they found a couple of matchups. They got the ball to Cook. He made some plays.
Yeah.
But they really found the matchup with Bowers, that he was a guy that was a freak.
He was targeted 16 times.
And I think he had 10 catches. 10
catches.
And a couple of them he was well covered and still made the catch. So
do you see that number going up?
I wouldn't be surprised.
How does Alabama stop it?
Well, Brian Branch, who I thought should have been MVP of the game against Cincinnati, is going to be a big key to this deal because he's not going to stop him. Okay. The dude is going to make some plays. But what I'm saying is you need to chop it down from 10 for 140 and a touchdown or whatever the hell it was to 5 for about 65 and keep him out of the end zone.
Do you chip him off the line of scrimmage? Do you try to do something? Do you slow him down?
You just stick to him like glue. If you're 1-4, you stick to him like glue. To me, you isolate on him because if they're trying to, I'll say this: if Georgia is having to keep him in to block, they're in trouble.
Yeah,
that means they can't block Alabama.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But if they're able to protect, and this goes for both quarterbacks, if they're able to protect, Stetson Bennett, then he needs to be out in every route.
Did you listen to Stetson Bennett yesterday? There was a couple of quotes that he had that, frankly, as a Georgia fan, just rubbed me the wrong way. And I'll play a couple of them for you on the other side. In fact, I got the side eye from Wes when I played it yesterday.
Well, I'll just say this: I did hear some of it, and one of the stupidest questions in the history of man. Somebody asked him about 2017 and what kind of factor that would be.
Hey, yeah, how about that question?
Somebody revoke that credential and give it to me, please.
10 seconds.
We'll be right back here live at the Boathouse.
Making a resolution to stop making resolutions? Power move. Going to bed 3 hours before the ball drops? Power move. Switching to extra reliable internet from WOW with speeds up to 1 gig? Power move. Get the speed you need starting with Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month and get your first month free. Plus, learn how to get up to $300 on us. Sign up at wowway.com today. Wow. Limited to new customers with autopay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Alabama A&M University football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com and view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Go Bulldogs!
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Benkin. 7 early games are underway in Week 18, all in the second quarter. The Colts' path to the playoffs would be a win over 2-14 Jacksonville. However, the Colts trail the Jaguars 10-3. Trevor Lawrence has a touchdown pass for Jacksonville. An Indianapolis loss would open the door for the Steelers or Ravens to have a chance at the playoffs. Right now in Baltimore, the Steelers lead the Ravens 3-0. The Titans need a victory over the Texans to wrap up the number 1 seed in the AFC, and they have a 7-0 lead in Houston thanks to a Ryan Tannehill touchdown pass. The Browns lead the Bengals by a count of 14-0. Also, the Packers resting several starters with the top seed, trailing the Lions 14-7. Washington over the Giants 3-0, and the Bears lead the Vikings by a count of 6-0. Later today, it's the 49ers and Rams, and a win for San Francisco gets the Niners into the postseason. They are expected to have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. A loss for San Francisco opens the door for New Orleans. ESPN's Mike Triplett says it's been a long road for the Saints this season.
Major injuries to Michael Thomas, Jameis Winston, and half the offensive line. Throw in COVID issues, and this team has set an NFL record with 58 different starters used, including 4 different quarterbacks in the wake of Drew Brees' retirement. Yet remarkably, the playoffs if they can beat Atlanta and get help from the Rams beating San Francisco.
The Rams can win the division title with a victory over the 49ers or an Arizona loss to Seattle. The Bills go for the AFC East title today with the win over the Jets. The Broncos are looking for a new head coach. Earlier today, Denver fired Vic Fangio. The Broncos ended at 7-10 on the season.
Regardless of whether Baker refutes it or not, if you read in between the lines, this allows him to seek, let's see what interest is actually out there.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You know the crowd is ready. The top-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. The Georgia Bulldogs. The College Football National Championship, presented by AT&T.
Our coverage of the national championship game on 97.7 ESPN The Zone is brought to you by Sports Med Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, Hometown Lenders, Valley Equipment Rental, North Alabama Mortgage, Bubby's Diner, and by DOC. Listen to all the coverage and game right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hour number 2 here live from the Boathouse Kitchen in Swan Dive. Before we break off, and we've only got 50 minutes left here, I just saw on the brunch menu some donuts that feature cookies and cream as well as Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, boy.
So
in other words,
are you going there?
No, I'm going to order you some donuts there, partner.
No, I cannot. Look, I have been really good. I've been really good on this trip to an extent.
Well,
except for last night's 1:30 a.m. Waffle House meal.
We were wondering where the hell you guys were eating because we ate at a Waffle House.
He was trying to get to a Perkins.
I wanted to get to a Perkins because I've had Perkins as a kid.
Yeah,
and it's very similar to a Denny's. Their Denny's and Perkins are very similar to each other.
Yep.
I call it the upscale Denny's because it's a little bit better. Yeah, we're real high when we're talking Perkins, but we couldn't find one because everything. I tell you what, COVID restrictions up here in Indiana are a whole lot different than what we are back in Alabama because there are restaurants that are dry. A lot of restaurants are just still curbside only up here. A lot of places are closing still early. It is not like it is in Huntsville, very free-flowing and very easy-going. It is a lot different up here. And so a lot of places were closed at 9. And at about, 1 o'clock in the morning, we decided that we found a Waffle House 9 miles.
It was after our third game of pool.
Yeah, we thought we found a Waffle House 9 miles away, and it was like, we're going. I mean,
and it was in the middle of nowhere.
I can tell you what we had. I think Brett Beard and I stopped at the Waffle. I want to say it was in White House, Tennessee. That's where we ate. We just finally decided to pull off. We got some gas, and then they had part of theirs shut down. I mean, like walled off too. They didn't use all their tables, but we went over there, had a good meal. So, but those donuts, I had a pecan waffle last night.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm not. I don't need to tingle.
At some point, we do probably need to reference that sugar cookie from the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Well, I had a pecan waffle, and I forgot to ask for the sugar-free syrup because they do have it. I think.
It's not a trip until you tingle.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I want to order some donuts and put it on camera. And I appreciate the fine folks here at the Boathouse for hosting us here as we are leading you up to Alabama-Georgia women's basketball. Roger Hoover will have the play-by-play call, and that will take over our airwaves at 1:50. So we've only got a few minutes left here with you in this second hour. And we talked a little bit about Georgia offensively, and you mentioned James Cook.
Yeah.
How good of a tailback do you think James Cook is?
Let's put it this way. I think James Cook is going to be a better pro than he was at Georgia because I'm not sure he was featured enough.
Yeah.
Now, he could be featured a ton tomorrow and leave a legacy there. But I'm just – when you look at it, and this is the way I kind of categorize it, is that if I'm just being – it's an example for me. I think, honestly, if I'm the Miami Dolphins and they've got Tua Tagovailoa, if they truly commit to him and they stop all this merry-go-round stuff with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
The thing they got to do going into next year with their draft capital, man, is they've got to improve their offensive line, and they got to improve their running back room. And to me, in the third round of the draft, you could take a James Cook or a Brian Robinson, either guy, and exponentially improve your running game. And I think both of them, and honestly, if you ask me who fits better, it would be James Cook, because I still think if you got Tua Tagovailoa, you need to be an RPO passing type team, and you kind of and you run the football, but you're going to be throwing the ball 60% of the time.
Yeah.
The great thing about James Cook is you can isolate him on linebackers. You can run him on sweeps. You can run him inside. He can do it all.
Yeah.
And I just think, to me, and he can even return kickoffs if need be. I think James Cook will be a great pro. I would be all over him in the third round if I'm the Miami Dolphins. I think he's dynamic, and I think he could be dynamic on Monday. Alabama better be ready to be attacked by him with the run. If I'm Kirby Smart, he gets more touches than Zeus. Okay? Zeus maybe inside the 10, if you're in the red zone a lot, can be a factor.
Yeah.
But in between the 20s, it's got to be, number 4.
I'm sorry. I was talking to our waitress
Mary.
because we were talking about Morse Lake. That is the lake that's out in front of us.
Yes.
And she said that if we would have been here a day sooner, it's kind of warmed up a little bit. But the lake has kind of got a little bit of softness to it now. But she said that a couple days ago, they were snowmobiling and skating all across the lake.
Oh, Lord.
Well, tomorrow's high is supposed to be in the 20s, so they may
supposed
be
to go down to 7, right?
Yeah, they may be out and about. Cicero, I believe, is the name of the community that we are in.
And she said the lake's pretty big. She goes, it goes up at least a couple miles all around us. So she goes, I mean, basically, it's almost like a mini Lake Gunnersville that
Nice.
we're on right now.
Yeah.
Well, we're right next to the White River, and it's right here just north of Indianapolis, kind of sandwiched in between Indianapolis and Muncie, which is a little further off to our east.
Well, at one time during our arduous trip last night,
Yes.
we were quoting Charles Barkley and hoping we were not in Indianapolis.
Did you enjoy that promo?
Yeah.
I just, of everything that I put together, there was just so much John Cougar Mellencamp I can plug into said promos.
No, that's one of the great commercials with he and Spike Lee.
Yep.
And
in the
Samuel L.
Indiana.
Yeah, Indianapolis. Indianapolis. End up in, as Brett said, hopefully we're not going to end up in Maryland.
Yeah, so we are definitely not in Maryland. There was a comment by Kirby Smart about Bryce Young. Here is what Kirby had to say earlier today.
That's the ultimate challenge. When you look across the board at the efficiency with which Bryce Young has played with, and he's got good weapons around him. He's got a really good team around him, but make no mistake about it, he is elite at what he does. To have the number of touchdown passes to interception ratio, I don't know that I've ever seen really anything like it. And, we talk about him as Houdini because he can make people miss. He gets rid of the ball. People don't even account for the number of times this guy has avoided sacks and thrown the ball with no intention of anybody catching it. But he knows where to throw the ball to not take a sack. And when you do that, you're really elite. Now, they've got really good skill players on the outside. They know how to use those skill players. They put them in different positions, change things up. Brian Robinson seems like he's been there for 100 years because when I was there before, I remember him being in high school. And he is a physical, runs with purpose, intent, a traditional Alabama back, really physical downhill runner. And they do a good job, especially against Cincinnati, of committing to the run. So, it's a double-edged sword. You do too much of this, they can hurt you. They're certainly physical up front. They always have been. All Coach Saban's teams have been that way. But make no mistake about it, they can be really explosive on the outside. That's been the advantage they've had probably in the last 3 to 4 years is the number of wideouts they've had that are just explosive, great playmakers. And it's changed mostly the game of football, not just Alabama, but you can actually win the line of scrimmage and you could possibly lose the game because of explosive plays. And that's what you got to be careful of.
That is a little bit of Kirby Smart. So we've gone from gingerbread man to Houdini in describing said Alabama quarterback.
Yeah, can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man, I guess is what they're trying to say. But, Bryce is special. I mean, I said this before the season that he was – he's unique in that he's a little bit, he's got the cerebral qualities of a Mac Jones, but that he's also got the pure passing ability of a Tua Tagovailoa. But the thing that he has that neither one of them had that makes him unique is the slipperiness and the ability to create and the ability to throw the football on the move. And, I mean, to me, that's a situation where, that makes him hard to stop, because one of the things that hasn't been talked about a lot in the leading up to this game in the first matchup is that for the first time in that game, Bryce used his legs a lot.
Yeah,
he ran for 40 yards. He was about a third of the rushing yards, and he ran for a touchdown. So he used his mobility to hurt Georgia, and it'll be interesting to see if he can do that again on Monday and how Georgia tries to contain him.
I just, how many mistakes, even some of the interceptions you can't just throw on Bryce. He has not been prone to even getting into a wrong call.
Well,
when you go up at the Texas A&M game or the Auburn game,
I think he had some issues in the A&M game because of the environment and because, again, Florida was unique as well. Going on the road is unique. You got to go through the fire and learn.
Yeah.
And I think there may have been some issues with some of the protections and things of that nature, but I think he's such a studious guy that he's gotten better and better. And I think another underrated part of it is leaning on Mac. I mean, they talk every week. They text, they call.
Well, he even talks about how much he leans on Mac, even with Mac, obviously being the guy in charge in New England.
It's amazing how much this year's team still relies on the former team. Brian Robinson Jr. was talking about how he visits with Najee Harris and talked about Najee Harris going into the semifinal game, picked his brain there. Bryce Young and Mac Jones. It's amazing how these guys are continuing to study guys that were there before them.
Yeah, they have, and these guys last year they left a legacy, and the guys that played behind them,
high bar,
you're leaning on them. That's what you should do. That's how you build an organization and a program where the standard of excellence can be upheld. But I am interested, Steve. You mentioned it going into this hour about these comments from Stetson Bennett.
Yes.
I'd like to hear them and get a reaction and give some thoughts.
So
it's interesting.
We all know about our relationship we have with the Chuck Oliver Show, and Dan Matthews asked this question, and this was really stemming. It kind of came to a head after the SEC championship game of fans voicing their frustration to the Georgia quarterback, and so here is the back and forth between Dan Matthews and Stetson Bennett.
Is part of that frustration just kind of almost wanting to say, like, what do you want from me? I want to play quarterback. Give me the opportunity to play quarterback.
Yeah, no, I will. I'm not going to be some, nomad unless I decide to. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go unsaid from that frustration. Not really allowed to say it, but but that's what it's the nature of the beast. You're the hero or the zero. I'm glad it was me instead of anybody else, because I can handle it. Because I can just shut it off and just tell people, go blah, blah. But you just keep your head down and keep working. You trust your teammates to make plays, and you just go play football. Same game you've been playing since you're, in Little League. So just because more people are talking about it doesn't mean the rules have changed. So just go play.
Some interesting comments there. I mean, it's obvious that Stetson's heard from, and I'm talking about his own fan base.
Yeah.
The criticism and the wanting the overrated JT Daniels to play, probably one of the most viciously overrated quarterbacks in college football history. First of all, you want to talk about Tua Tagovailoa being fragile. This guy's fragile. He's even. I think he's got even more. And I'm not talking about just physically. I'm talking about between the ears.
Yep.
So, and Stetson, I think, has maximized his ability. I think he's a good player. There have been quarterbacks before, like at Alabama, David Smith, who became a really good starting QB. He's now an SEC official that was a walk-on. So just because you're in other positions, look at Alabama's sideline reporter. You guys just talked to him a couple weeks ago. Rashad Johnson.
Yep.
He came from, Sulligent and was a running back, and then they moved him to safety, and he became a 3-year starter and a captain under Nick Saban and played for nearly a decade in the NFL.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a walk-on as long as you can play. One of my personal favorite players, and he would be on my all-Saban team until he'll never be off of it, is Levi Wallace. And he's in the middle of having a very nice pro career. He was a walk-on. That doesn't matter anymore. The guy's a good football player. Yes, he's had some interceptions against Alabama, but who hasn't? I'm just saying there's been a lot of quarterbacks that have struggled. He may play his best game Monday night, and Georgia may win a national championship. We'll see. It's going to take that, I think. It's going to take a Zach Calzada type game for him for the.
I was thinking Steven Garcia,
but it's the same deal.
Yeah.
Just put a new name. It's going to take a flawless game for them because I think Alabama's a really good football team, if you go back and look at the formula when Alabama has lost games to football teams, whether they had a generational quarterback or not, it's either you had a Deshaun Watson who could raise everybody's level and beat you, or it was either a one shining moment for a Steven Garcia or a Zach Calzada where you play your best game. You throw for Calzada threw for nearly 300 yards against Alabama. He did not I think he made one mistake. He threw one interception early, but he ended up throwing like 3 touchdowns. And Alabama has to help you a little bit. Alabama's going to have to make some mistakes.
At some point, you just have to say to yourself that if JT Daniels was good enough to be the starter, he would be the starter.
Yep, right.
I mean, let's just cut it to the point. JT Daniels did not beat out Stetson Bennett to win the starting job.
No, I mean, I'll say this. I know you were talking about, Wes had some interesting takes on what Stetson Bennett said.
Yes.
That does not top what we heard in Hoover, where the great JT Daniels had to leave early because he was frazzled.
Yep. That's all I needed to know. That's all I needed to know.
I appreciate the Boathouse for having a table that I can knock on here. But that is just hello. He doesn't have it, son. He ain't got it. And I know they could talk about a muscle injury and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But he ain't got it between the ears.
Yep.
And he needs to hit the portal and go somewhere else, back to the West Coast or something and play. He's not a championship level dude. Okay. And that's why Stetson Bennett beat him out. That's why Kirby trusts him more, because they don't think JT Daniels has got it. They thought he did when they brought him into the program.
Right.
But then you watch him go through the fire and you realize this dude ain't got it, bro.
Yeah.
He's not a championship dude. And so that's why they're bringing in Gunnar Stockton. That's why they're bringing in all these other quarterbacks, because Carson Beck, I'll just make a statement here. He may play Monday night, but if he does, that means Georgia is not playing well, okay, if they have to go to JT Daniels.
Yeah.
But personally, I think JT Daniels has started his last game at Georgia. I think he's done. I think he'll end up at a third place. I don't know if he'll end up any good. I think, look, man, I don't know if it's a stigma at USC or whatever it is, but there's so many quarterbacks that have come out of there that have not been any good in the NFL or been overhyped as in college, and I think he's another one. So I'm just not a JT Daniels guy at all.
We are live here at the Boathouse here in the state of Indiana, just north of Indianapolis. A lot of nervous Colt fans are in front of us here at the Boathouse as Jacksonville has 1st and goal with 10 seconds to go before halftime, leading it over the Colts 10-3. Indianapolis needs to win to get into the playoffs. That is the easiest path for the Colts to get into the playoffs. And right now, Sunshine's got them 1st and goal at about the 2-yard line. And just like that, that's an incomplete pass, but there's now 7 seconds. And it's 2nd and goal. So,
in other words, they're too soft and they can't run it in. So they're throwing the ball at the 2-yard line.
Well, they have no timeouts left.
Well, I mean, but I'm just saying, if you felt like your O-line could win a battle, you could run the football here and think you could score. But I think they're afraid they're going to get stopped. And as you said, no timeouts.
With 7 seconds
happens,
left,
it's going to run. The time's going to run out. So you're going to have to throw the football.
Lions
got 2 more plays.
Lions are currently beating the Packers as well. Right,
I bet
before
Aaron Rodgers
halftime.
not playing this game.
17-13, the score there right before halftime. So both teams that are vying for the number 1 overall NFL draft position. And we're just a few weeks away from the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, where a lot of these teams, their organizations, I would assume the Lions and the Jaguars, well, maybe not the Jaguars, as they're currently trying to get some new personnel after Urban Meyer.
Well, they need some new personnel because 10 can't catch. Okay. That should have been a touchdown. He needs a sack.
Well, he would have
good.
got cut in the preseason. He wouldn't have won any contest.
Oh, yeah, he wouldn't have won a contest. That's right.
He wouldn't have won a battle to stay on the team.
Yeah. Or he might, or if he wasn't vaccinated.
It is now a 13-3 lead for the Jaguars heading into halftime. Other halftime scores include the Bears leading it over the Vikings. 14-3 is the score there. The Titans are up by 2 touchdowns over the Texans, 14-0 right before halftime.
A question on that one, Steve, just really fast because I haven't checked it.
Yeah.
Any sign of Derrick Henry?
Well, he is not playing in this game.
Yeah.
But there has been some Derrick Henry sightings in practice. So
I know he's working.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel said earlier in the week that the plan with Derrick Henry was they were going to try to get him as many reps as they could in practice to kind of build him up. But the goal for the Titans was if you get a win this week and you can clinch the best record in the AFC, then you get a bye. And so that would give Derrick Henry another week of just acclimating himself back into game shape condition.
Well, that's pretty remarkable, too, if you think about it. And what I mean by remarkable is Julio Jones has missed at least half this season with the hamstrings. A.J. Brown has missed multiple games due to getting hurt.
Yep.
And you hadn't had the King since about week 6.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And these dudes may win the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's a great coaching job.
Deontay Foreman has been once again, it was overhyped at Texas, but boy, is he finding his way.
Well, he was heavily recruited, too. I mean, probably the deal is, as I've said before, Tom Herman couldn't develop. I mean, I think he had some talent. I think they had talent in that program.
Yeah,
I just don't think they had a rudder. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think the rudder was going into the damn buoy or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Out there on the lake, there in front of us.
So I mean, I'm going to be real fascinated to see if Tom Herman he's an analyst I think in the NFL right now, but I'm going to be very interested to see how he kind of restarts his career because his light has dimmed. Is he going to be another rehab project for Nick Saban? That's going to be really interesting.
We've only got a half hour left. Scott Theisen, I've got your donut here if you'd like to partake.
No, I'm going to be good. I am really going to be good.
This is your only opportunity because as we head to a break, I am going to partake.
What did you get it? Because you could have gotten it with chocolate chips, Fruity Pebbles.
What is that?
I don't know. I just said pick a donut. She picked a donut. She picked a donut for
me. Is that
me.
cookies and cream?
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, because that's the choices. I looked on there, and that is you can either get vanilla bean, Oreo, salted toffee, Fruity Pebbles,
like
or
some
chocolate
Oreo,
chip.
right?
It almost looks like cherry
Does
to
it?
me. I don't know. I'm about to find
go
out.
for it.
Let's go ahead and take our first time out as we're getting ready for Alabama, Georgia women's basketball.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10% of Ford dealers in customer satisfaction. So we're very proud of the service department. And our body shop. If you happen to get into an accident, which not a lot of people just want to go down and see a body shop, but if you get into an accident, award-winning body shop. We have the state-of-the-art paint booths back there. They're waterborne paints that we use, friendly for the environment. We've got our production system, the way things are in and out. We have the fastest cycle rate in town of getting your vehicle in, getting your vehicle out, and assured that it's fixed right. We take pictures before it's wrecked, and not only after, but we take it as we're putting the parts on, all done to above industry standards. So I'm proud of our body shop too. Don't forget our parts department. So if you happen to need parts, performance parts, or just parts if you're a weekend mechanic.
Woody Anderson Ford, located at the corner of Jordan and Sparkman, as well as Hughes Road and Madison. You can also check out the great deals at WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hometown Lenders was founded right here in North Alabama on old school principles.
We like to call them the 4 Ps. The best products, the best processes, competitive pricing, and of course, the best people. It's why we're one of America's fastest growing mortgage lenders. We're now adding a 5th P, the hometown promise. If we don't close on time, you don't pay a dime. Yes, you heard that right. On time, every time, or we refund 100% of our fees.
Take your taste buds back in time with a trip to the all-new Bubby's Diner, offering a variety of mouth-watering food from delicious starters to 50-style diner food and meat-and-free meals, featuring owner and Huntsville native Chris Bubby Belcher's family's homemade recipes. Open Monday through Saturday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 8412 Whitesburg Drive in the former Gibson's Barbecue. Drive-in, drive-through, carry-out, or curbside pickup with delivery coming soon through Grub South. Bubby's Diner, home of the Donut Burger.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Valley Equipment Rental. Pretty self-explanatory name, no? Tom Abraham here. And look, Valley Equipment Rental is all over the Tennessee Valley, and they rent equipment, all kinds of equipment, and not just to the contractors out there, but to you, the general public as well. Need a skid steer or an excavator? Well, they've got over 40 units to make sure they've got one for you. From huge boom lifts to miscellaneous hand tools, it's at Valley Equipment Rental on the South Parkway. And soon, they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. More on that to come.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Roll Tide! Roll Tide! The journey for 19 begins this year. This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we'll bring all the action to you right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Back here with you. Appreciate Chad Guathney coming in on a Sunday as we are live here at the Boathouse. That whole break devoured the donut for those of you watching on Facebook.
Did you take a picture of it, though?
I did not. I'm not.
There's like 2 manhole covers. I mean, Scott's told me about these sandwiches for a long time, but my goodness.
That's not the one. Yeah, our kind waitress here did tell us that we needed to stop on the way home in Edinburgh to experience some more food.
Scott Theisen is searching for a very large
I think that one's even
pork
bigger
tenderloin.
Pork tenderloin sandwich.
I think those are bigger than the ones in Omaha that Jason Caldwell had.
Yes, and she called them touristy tenderloins because that's what they are. I mean, you just pound them out.
That was a hubcap.
Yeah.
No, it was 2 manhole covers.
He's fighting me about how big.
I've never seen
we can settle this on the way home. We can stop there and we can.
And our great sponsor, Baumhauer's. If you have the Royal Rooster, they have now they use the large chicken, and it's big. But this thing was like on steroids. Okay,
this was like 4 large chickens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like Mary said, it could feed 3 people.
Look, though, I will say this: Steve and I have been here Friday. You get here today. We have experienced some good food, some different foods up here. But like I said, the people up here have been fantastic. So it's all about having that
interaction and just meeting new people and exposing to different communities. And I really appreciate the Boathouse for hosting us here today.
Randy King, we've got a lot of comments, and I do apologize. I have not checked Facebook Live here in a few minutes. Randy King says, I want to know what a Georgia win would mean to Steve. Steve Gardner, answer that one here. So Steve Gardner wants to know, seems we have less assistant coaches mentioned moving this year. So there are a couple topics there to discuss.
What would a Georgia win mean for me? I try to be as impartial as I can, but I try to explain to people I used to work with back in Atlanta of what is it like to be in the state of Alabama. And it just growing up in the South, you think football is a big deal, and then you move to Alabama. It's just a different world that we all are a part of living in the state of Alabama. But it would not only be big for Georgia, but I think it would also be big for some SEC football and maybe a different storyline that we've seen play out over and over and over. And ultimately, I immediately think of the movie Truman Show, which is how's it going to end?
Right.
Well, that's the only storyline, honestly, we don't know about the end of Nick Saban in his tenure in Tuscaloosa. It has by far been amazing to see all the coaching changes, all the players leaving early, and seeing what he is now doing with the transfer portal, which he talked about today, of what both of these programs are doing with the transfer portal. But how he has turned it around in Tuscaloosa and sustain it, not getting to the top of the mountain, but staying at the top of the mountain.
Feeding the beast.
That has been what has been more impressive. Hell, I was jokingly during the Game Day Tailgate show this year calling this a rebuilding year. And I stick by that because this was a rebuilding year, but not all teams rebuild back to the national championship game. That's what has made this year unlike any other that I've ever seen.
Freddie Kirby says on Facebook Live, Drew, with all the wrong exits you guys took, you could have ended up in Annapolis.
Yeah, well, that was in Nashville. Thank you very much, Freddie. And as I said, he helped us navigate and got us out of there. So we appreciate Freddie because he has a photographic memory when it comes to roads.
Well, to be fair, I almost took a wrong turn out of Nashville myself. Scott Theisen.
Yeah, we almost went to
Memphis.
Yes, we almost went to Memphis.
We almost went to Memphis.
We took the scenic route through Nashville. I'll just tell you that.
Well, we took a different route.
Was it a lock your door scenic trip?
Oh, no. We never had that feeling.
There's parts of Nashville that make you want to do that.
We did not end up and I've ended up in some of those parts before, but we did not. and mostly that was watching great athletes, and I got a chance to see one of them, and he had a heck of an All-American game from what I'm understanding. Barry and Brown, who's headed to Kentucky.
That's right. Yep.
I'll say this: if they can find somebody that can throw a forward pass, whether it's Levis continuing to develop or recruiting someone that can get him the ball.
The Colts just fumbled the kickoff return, but they just did recover it.
I'm just telling you, though, as good as Wan'Dale Robinson has been this year for Kentucky.
Yeah.
And he has been a godsend out of the portal.
He really has.
This kid is more talented than Wan'Dale Robinson. Talking about Barry and Brown.
Really?
He is one of the top 3 to 5 football players I've ever seen in person on the high school level.
You saw him in Tullahoma.
I did. And he's a true 5-star talent. He is electric. But can Kentucky get the ball?
And why did Alabama take their foot off the accelerator with him?
He's had some issues off the field. That's just about basically the best way to put it. And I think that's why he ended up at Kentucky. And I think Kentucky did a really good job recruiting him, first and foremost, because, hell, when I talked to the kid, he had a Kentucky football shirt. But I'm just telling you that his mother wanted Alabama and that there were some things that went on, I think, off the field and even on the field. So
yeah.
He's a little bit hot-headed. Great kid. I mean, very soft-spoken when you talk to him. But he's very competitive, and I think there were some maturity issues, and so he ended up at Kentucky. Can still have a great career. It should be a boon for them. This should be something that they should be celebrated by those folks, that you got a kid like this in your program. Now you have to develop him and make him successful, because he didn't have a great quarterback at Pearl Cone High School, but could still affect the game.
Quentin, before you get to break real fast, Quentin Harris says on Facebook, and this is, I think, a no-brainer, a Georgia win would mean much more to us Georgia fans than an Alabama win would mean to Alabama fans.
Well, probably so. I mean, Georgia, it's been 41 years. I mean,
And with that,
let's just be cold there.
Yeah. Herschel Walker DVDs and VHS tapes.
I was alive.
Herschel.
The last time the Georgia Bulldogs did win a championship.
I was 5.
So yes, I was fairly young, but it's been a long time.
It has.
Vince Dooley will be in the house.
I'm not surprised by
tomorrow
that.
night.
Good to have Coach there, and I'm glad he's in good health. And
yep.
He's lived a long life. And
Lawrence Smith will be in the house tomorrow night as well. I look forward to seeing all my former colleagues. Scott Howard has texted me. So the handful of times I see Scott Howard now, he just looks at me and goes, "Oh, it's that time again, huh?"
Yeah.
He is the voice of the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's take our final timeout. Final 10 minutes here on a Sunday. Appreciate the fine folks here at the Boathouse for hosting us.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary, but it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Looking for a great deal? Well, I've got one for you. Tom Abraham here for Valley Equipment Rental. And at Valley Equipment, if you rent after 3 on a Friday or on a Saturday morning, you're not due back until Monday morning. So basically, you're getting the entire weekend for the price of one day. And if you're in the service or are a vet, they'll knock another 10% off. Valley Equipment is locally owned and involved in our community through charities and even supporting local teams. And soon they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. Stay tuned for info on where that will be and when it will open.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Steve, you there?
I assume. Oh,
Hey,
yo.
am I hitting the time at 1:50?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Visualize how they'll look at your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
I appreciate you coming in, brother. I really do.
533-2121.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know.
Yeah,
if you're
Chad,
buying or
we
selling
love
real
ya.
estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams
Watch
offers
the game,
buyers
let me know if
in-depth
you-
knowledge of the local housing market. And will
We still got
narrow
one more day,
available
bro.
offers down
Well,
to those
two
who
more
can
days.
invest in
Everything's
something
ready
save
for tomorrow.
time
I already
when
went
shopping
through
for
it.
your new home. If you're
Well,
ready to
everything's
sell,
ready for
Ann
tonight.
offers a seamless process
I've
using
got
Hey, dude. Hey,
computer
Chad. Hey,
software
Chad.
and
You there, bro?
to make sure you
Solid.
get a
I
fair
haven't
price
looked
for
at
your
football
home. Call Ann Adams.
Hey, I'm going to tell you,
256
I'm going to go ahead and email Aaron Jordan today. Are you still good for that?
I'd be down to go to that.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to email
Tuesday?
him. Yeah.
I'm jealous, brother.
Hey, by the way, it's an 8 o'clock tip. It's not 6. You had mentioned 6, Steve. I double checked. It's 8.
That'd be fine.
It's 8. It's the late
Well,
tip.
that Houston game tipped at 9.
Oh, I know. I hope Alabama's pulled their head out of their ass so they can at least play a competitive game against Auburn.
It'd be different if it was at Auburn.
Yeah, I told Chad it's not at all. It's at Alabama. It's a shorter trip.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation.
But yeah, I'm going to email Aaron
Attic
and let him know that
insulation,
we're going to be coming back from
insulation
Indy, and I'm going to
insulation,
send
and
you.
new construction insulation, commercial and residential.
Touchdown,
Our primary goal is to save you money,
Lions.
and lots of it.
Another one?
Clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, they're up
That
23
means
to
the
13.
re-insulation
Who is
actually
the Lions?
pays for
Lions.
itself
Now,
and then
Aaron's
some.
not
See
playing,
if we
though,
can help
right?
you. Contact
Let me
Eagle
look.
Insulation
I bet
today.
he's not.
256-755-1550.
Aaron Rodgers.
Log on to
Is he playing?
sportsmedeagle.com.
14 of 18.
Wow.
Yeah, he said he was going to play. I think he said that he was not going
They
to.
probably would have. They'd probably be up right now if he played.
He is playing.
He is playing.
No, Jordan Love's playing.
Huh? They already took him out?
Jordan Love's playing.
Oh, they
Jordan
took him
Love's
out.
playing now, but he was playing the whole first half.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Hey, let's honor the word of God for what it is. It is God's word. Let's follow it and be blessed by it. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. And check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Listen to Alabama football on our app. Download it today. Just search for 977 ESPN. Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
A fast-moving edition, a special Sunday edition here live from the Boathouse. We appreciate the fine folks here at the Boathouse for hosting us here this Sunday, getting ready for the national championship game. We've got three more shows from Indianapolis. Tomorrow morning, Talking Ball will be live 7 to 9.
And I'll give the guest lineup for us. We've lined them up. Hour 1 will be the great Chris Landry, who will break down the national championship game. And then Scott and I have featured this next guest many times, but it's been a while during this college football season. It's gone by in such a blur, but we're going to catch up with Bill Bender of the Sporting News, who is down here in Indianapolis.
He's here.
Yeah, he's been prominent on some of the Zoom the Zoom calls, and in fact, he actually talked to Coach Saban today.
Nice.
He actually
Bill
visited
Bender
with
with
Coach
Sporting
Saban a little bit today.
And I think our food is coming.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
We've only got 4 minutes left in the program. This looks fantastic.
Oh, my
Thank you,
goodness.
Mary.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you so much again to the boathouse. And I just coming up next will be Alabama, Georgia women's basketball. Roger Hoover will have that action. The drive tomorrow will be downtown at the Slippery Noodle. And
You are in for a great treat when we get down there to the Slippery Noodle. It is fantastic.
I've been told this 3 or 4 times, so I'm looking forward to it.
Get ready. Get ready. That will be tomorrow from 2 to 4, not 5 to 7, 2 to 4.
And we have a good place you've lined up also for the morning show, correct, Scott?
Yeah, we're going to be in the Uptown Cafe here in Noblesville.
Yep.
For that. Don't forget, though, leading into the drive, the 30 minutes before the drive tomorrow, we will have a Facebook Live show as well. So leading into the drive, the 30 minutes before the drive, we will have a Facebook Live show for you.
Appreciate all the interaction here today.
And I got to give
Sunday.
Scott a lot of props for this Facebook Live setup we've got, because I got another message from Ronnie Frost, who's been watching the entire show on Facebook Live, and he really appreciated us doing this.
Quentin Harris has been all over. He says, nice Braves hat for you. He says, please teach the Alabama fan base the difference between the Braves logo and the Alabama logo.
Well, they changed it
I can't
many
tell
years
you how
ago.
many times
I
I've been
know.
walking around Huntsville wearing a Braves hat and a Georgia shirt, and I have people ask me who I'm rooting for between Georgia and Alabama.
I would categorize those fans as if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, many years ago they used to use a very similar A, but they don't anymore. But yes, I mean, there's a definite difference, with the Braves A and the Alabama A, no doubt.
So then our final show that we're originating from here will be Tuesday morning for Talking Ball.
Yeah.
But there is no doubt the Tom Abraham show will be covering the national championship game in the only way Tom can do it. From
Tennessee.
From the
palatial studio.
His perch there.
I mean, come on now.
But I mean, we do also want to thank Chad Guatney, the
resourceful producer.
Yes, very resourceful, who also has to deal with the brunt of Tom Abraham as well. But Chad, we appreciate you coming in on a Sunday,
and we love being here in Indianapolis. But we are all envious of him. He will be, even though yesterday's result wasn't what was wanted. He will be there at 8:00 in Tuscaloosa for the Iron Bowl of basketball, the first chapter.
That
still should be a
lot
great
of
atmosphere.
Even though Alabama fell on their face yesterday,
they were not good, but they have a chance to bounce back at home. And I will be on the road. I will have a long Tuesday because we're going to do the Talking Ball, rehash the national championship game. Brett Beard and I will be traveling back, and then I will head straight to Albertville, Alabama for the second 7A. Area 7 game for the Huntsville Crimson Panthers after what was one of the best basketball games I've seen all year long that we saw on Friday night at Huntsville High, where the Crimson Panthers, who were really battling uphill the whole night from the second and third quarter on, were down double digits to Jack Dawson's Grissom Tigers. And then we saw a great moment from Jamari Man Arnold, who was back from injury and gave us some onions at the buzzer to beat Grissom for the second straight year.
Chad, you tell me. I think we're right up against the start of the women's basketball game as we get set for Alabama, Georgia. Roger Hoover will have the play-by-play call. We will talk to you tomorrow morning on Talking Ball. Have a great Sunday, everybody.
I didn't know if you wanted me to hit it right at 150, so I kind of waited to 54, but I hit it at 30, so we're good.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.